And we begin at the White House, where in a little over 2 hours, President Trump and his trusted advisor, Elon Musk, are set to officially part ways. The world's richest man came to Washington with a chainsaw to slash government spending at Trump's request. With Musk leading the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, the federal workforce was cut, and he claims to have saved the nation $160 billion. But now he is heading back to the private sector to run Tesla, X, and SpaceX. Before leaving, Musk spoke with CBS Sunday Morning, saying he does not always agree with Trump and is disappointed with Trump's so-called big, beautiful budget bill. Here's more of what he had to say.
You know, it's not like I agree with everything the administration does. So it's like I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. There are things that I don't entirely agree with. But it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention. So then I'm a little stuck in a bind where I'm like, well, I don't want to, speak out against the administration, but I don't want to. I also don't want to take responsibility for everything the administration is doing.
All right, let's go to the White House and CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand. Natalie, happy Friday to you. What do we expect to happen today at the Oval Office send-off for Musk? And it seems like both Musk and President Trump, they're parting ways on good terms here.
That's what the White House says, Mugo. And I think reporters, though, are going to be able to press the president and Musk himself on some of those differences of opinion during this event in the Oval Office, where the White House wants to show these two side by side, still good friends. I also want to note, even though the president is saying it's a press conference, it's not open to all reporters, just the pool assigned for today. So that's a select group of reporters who will be able to ask about this relationship and Musk's time in this official capacity as DOGE. A senior administration official says that Musk is leaving on good terms. Again, we've been talking about his time is up because he was designated as a special government employee. So while his official role is coming to an end, it's possible we might still see him as an unofficial advisor. That remains to be seen. But as you noted, he has come out against President Trump's tax cut and spending bill. We also know another source of contention between Musk and the administration is tariffs. Musk has publicly stated that he is for free trade and lower tariffs. So that's something that maybe reporters will ask about as well.
Yeah, and Trump has his tariffs back after a legal tug of war in the courts. What has been the reaction so far from the White House?
Yeah, so this is a temporary reprieve by the federal appeals court that has paused that trade court's decision pending, the litigation playing out in court. So this will continue to go through that legal process. But for now, the administration is saying that this is a positive step. They're hopeful that, they're going to win at a higher level. And the administration, the White House, also trying to downplay what analysts are saying, which is there's no question that this tariff whiplash is having an impact on these ongoing negotiations with trading partners. The White House saying that's not the case, that these talks are continuing. In a new social media post, President Trump also blasted the judges who made this decision. The White House has been framing this as judicial overreach. Note that he appointed one of those judges that was on that U.S. trade court, the International Court of Trade. So he's blaming the Federalist Society for that and saying that he hopes this is going to go all the way up to the Supreme Court where this is decided, in the president's view. Now, the president also taking aim this morning in a new social media post on China, accusing them of violating that trade agreement between the U.S. and China, that tentative agreement that was following the talks in Switzerland earlier this month. The U.S. trade representative appeared on CNBC this morning and talked more about why the administration is upset right now.
and we've been very focused on monitoring Chinese compliance, or in this case, non-compliance, with the agreement. And we're very concerned with it. We moved, as the president just said, very quickly. No one can deny that. The United States did exactly what it was supposed to do, and the Chinese are slow rolling their compliance, which is completely unacceptable and has to be addressed. And you saw the president's tweet. I mean, and you can just read in the news that China continues to slow down and choke off things like critical minerals and rare earth magnets, et cetera. Obviously our deficit continues to be enormous with China. There was some discussion of them opening their market, something that they expressed they wanted to do. We're seeing them do export curbs. We're not seeing major changes.
So the question now is, what next steps does the administration take? That remains to be seen. I tried to ask a White House administration official about that, and he said, stay tuned for when the president speaks later this afternoon, Mugo.
And also later today, Trump has another event. He's heading to Pennsylvania for a speech on the U.S. steel deal. What can we expect out of this one?
Yeah, well, everyone's still waiting to learn more information about what that deal entails. It was just a week ago that President Trump announced this partnership between U.S. Steel and Japanese-owned Nippon Steel, but we still have not received exact details about how that is going to work, other than the president touting that the headquarters will remain in Pittsburgh. Obviously, Pennsylvania is a key battleground state as well that helped him win the election. So he's going to go there and rally news around this deal. And again, the administration saying that we should learn more later today when the president speaks about it. So far, the most information we have is coming from one of Pennsylvania's senators who says that the partnership will ensure that there's an American CEO and mostly American board members. But again, all of those details remain to be seen, other than the president saying that, this critical sector will have a large footprint in Pennsylvania and that this deal will create jobs. Important to note that the previous administration, the Biden administration, actually blocked a deal like this out of national security concerns.
Okay, we shall wait and see what comes out of this later today. Natalie Brand, thank you so much for joining us on 24/7. Appreciate your time.